All right, congratulations everybody. We're here. We made it to C1X. Today we're sitting down with our good friend Cooper Arnold. He's a professional disc golfer from Tonganoxie, Kansas with 21 career wins and the owner and course designer of Foxtail Farm disc golf course. He's recently been through a tough land dispute that hit him right at home, literally on the course he built with his own hands. We're talking about what happened and how this impacted more than just the course. Cooper, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Also, Matt, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Dude, happy to have you.
Great. You didn't get my intro. Non-professional disc golfer, 2 career wins. So
Let's go. Andy tied me at the last flexor at Foxtail.
Boom.
Yeah.
Frequent Foxtail player.
Yes.
One of the reasons that Foxtail Farm is the way it is, Matt and his crew have come out, I don't even know how many times.
A lot.
There's been a lot of play testing that they've done. They've played a lot of bad iterations of the course. So they're part of the reason it's the way it is now.
Awesome. Yeah, so we've all been out there, played your course. I kind of wanted to start again for those who maybe haven't heard the first episode we ever did with you for coming on and talking about Foxtail Farm. But just, can you again just paint the picture for everyone, because they're all wondering just man, what is it like to own a course that you get to design and do whatever you want with, because it's just what you want to do with it. Obviously you take a ton of feedback, but just, you live there too. Your family's there, you're growing your 2 girls, you're raising your 2 girls.
They're growing, like weeds, they're growing.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a true community place. What does it feel like to be owning that and just, going for it?
Yeah, it's simultaneously the best thing that I could be doing and the worst thing that I could be doing. It's endlessly creative. It's a lot of fun. You get to make the holes you want to make, and you get to maintain the land the way you want to maintain it. But if you don't like sitting on a mower or running a weed eater or cutting down some trees or working when it's 100 degrees, a lot of times right now, it's really hot right now. So I work in the morning until midday. I take off the middle of the day, and then I go out after dinner and work until I can't see. So a lot of people, they have kind of a fantasy view of what it's like owning a disc golf course. A lot of people will come out and the first thing they say out of the car is, "This is every disc golfer's dream." And I gently correct them and say, "I'm not sure that's true. Do you like playing disc golf?" Because I only play when I invite people out to play for a league round or a tournament or something like that, because if I'm not sitting on a mower, then it's just not getting mowed. So it's a really interesting and it's a fun experience, but it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason, or part of the way that I run the course too, is different than a lot of people probably would. Because we live there, I don't have to financialize it quite the same way. My goal, especially while my kids are young, has always been to get other people to pay for me to maintain the land. If I can break even on this right now, that's a pretty good proposition for me. Although I don't count my hours when I do everything at the end of the year, so I don't exactly know or want to know how many hours go into it, but it's a fascinating, it's a wonderful experience. It's something that I wish everybody had the opportunity to do. But sometimes if you like playing disc golf, just go to the public park.
Hey everybody, just dropping in here real quick to say we launched a merch store. If you need something fresh, something clean, new hat, new shirt, new koozie, head on over to shop.c1xpod.com, pick yourself something up. Also, if you're shopping, head on over to gripbq.com. Get a new bag, towel, hat, anything. And when you're checking out, use C1X free for free shipping. All right, back to the show. Thanks, guys.
Just by being out there, I came out there Friday and we just got to hang out, which was really great. But I would say it looks like you put a shit ton of hours into it. So it looks really good. Can you just talk a little bit, sprinkle us with some of the things that you have out there? The flowers they looked incredible. You had some new flowers that were out there that were really beautiful. And then some, maybe I missed it before, but there's definitely some new kind of wooden sculptures or just wooden sculptures you put throughout. But can you just talk about sort of those elements throughout your course? Even you mentioned the fence posts aren't normal fence posts. They're literally tree limbs.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with that one, because that's those are most prevalent on hole 18, which was actually the first hole that went in there. A lot of those hedge posts that I put in, I cut by hand with a handsaw because my chainsaw was broken at the time. And my neighbors, they came across the road and they asked me why I didn't use a straight fence post or straight hedge post. And I think it's more interesting that way. A lot of the art and everything and the flowers, that's been a lot of Matt's, what's the word? Not indoctrination, but like his influence, I guess. Yeah, like kind of having people come out who kind of push you towards the creative a little bit more. When I first started the project, the goal was simple: the hardest course I could make. And we made a very hard course to the point where it wasn't even fun. It was grindy. It was boring. If you were a 1,000-rated golfer, you could score on it probably, but like it wasn't.
Only if you did it exactly how it was intended to be.
Yes, but having Matt and his crew out. So Matt's a legitimate artist.
That's kind.
No, but it's true though. Like a lot of like the creative elements that got put back into the design over the 10 years I've been working on it have been the influence of the people who have come out to play it. So like Matt's probably played the course probably more than anyone else but me. And so there's a lot of just like thinking about how things are framed, thinking about adding color, thinking about adding shape and other interests to the hole. So you're talking about the sculpture. I know we looked at one of the sculptures on hole 4. That's something that I want to try to do across the course in different ways to add visual interest that's durable, that can sustain a disc hit to it, because that'd be fine if it got hit by a disc. But also kind of gives you an idea. I know if I'm by this thing, I am 150 feet from the pin, or I am X number. If I'm here, then I can get through this gap. If I'm here, I'm screwed. Or
they're landmarks as well.
Yeah, it's a visual indication of where you're at and where you're supposed to be, and it's also supposed to heighten the experience. A lot of what I've tried to do is creative recycling. So especially that sculpture on hole 4 was a root ball stump that I found on the ground. And I stacked it up on an old tree that looked interesting, and it lived that way for 6 or 7 years probably.
Wow.
And then I always wanted to polish it up like what you saw the other day, and I just didn't have the time. So another friend of mine, another artist, old Dan, who's been playing disc golf since it was invented in California. He's a retired carpenter now, or he's retired, but he's a carpenter, and he polishes things, and he just carves things into really beautiful shapes. And so I sent this with him to polish it up for me, and he threw it on, or we threw it up on top of that thing, and now you got something to look at when you're over there.
Mm-hmm. The other piece you have is the fox. It's very similar, right? Is it the same kind of wood?
It's the same kind of wood. It's Osage orange, the hedge. It's a tree that landowners love and curse. One of the hardest trees, it's called the Janka hardness scale, but it's one of the, it's rough on your tools basically. Wow. It'll wreck your chainsaw. Like it's really a hard wood, but because of that, it takes a really good polish. Okay. So you can polish it up and make it get a really high gloss basically. And then you throw a coat of poly or other urethane on it, and that protects it and keeps the color, which is another distinct element. It's kind of orange, yellow, and bright and pops. And if you get sunlight on it, like you get really interesting kind of light waves and stuff that looks interesting. The fox is another one where that's on the alternate tee pad of hole 2. Mm-hmm. I left a stump about waist high, and I just planned it someday I was either going to remove it or carve it into something. And I borrowed a friend's generator and took an angle grinder out there and just spent, I don't know what I spent, 3, 4, 5 hours, something like that, and just carved and polished and then put a coat of poly on it. And now there's this abstract fox out there that'll, kind of.
You said, look, it's an owl.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was an owl when I was carving it, and then I took my wife and kids out there, and they're like, "That's a fox, you dummy."
It's always been a fox.
It's always been a fox.
Foxtail Farm guy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's that's kind of the way I've done stuff a lot, is very I'm more experiential and hands-on in a lot of ways, and so I can't make representational art like some people. I make things that I think look cool, and I just like keep chasing the cool side of stuff. And that's something, I've talked about it with old Dan, because he does the same thing where he says, I'm not an artist. I can't do that. Like I just polish stuff and it's cool. But he does the same thing. He's like, I can't make representational art, but like he carves stuff until he sees a shape that he likes. And then he'll send me pictures like, looks like a crocodile to me, and like we kind of have this back and forth where we get to like both interpret these abstract things. And it's kind of it's a microcosm of how the course has been developed, where you have an idea, you force an idea, and then you find out that it was forced. But if you have an idea and then you kind of slowly work towards that and test it and then slowly refine it, then you you have other people out to tell you what it is. Like that, you can't know it all yourself, but you have other people out, they try it and they're like, this works, this doesn't work. And you just slowly keep like polishing it. Like that's kind of how I've treated the course, is the same way those sculptures are, is just a slow process of just polishing and refinement and improvement.
Definitely.
So I want to touch on something you said where you referenced not being an artist. And I was going to bring this point up because, I don't know exactly how many years, like 9 years or so we've been
Something like that, yeah.
friends. I had the pleasure of meeting Cooper when he worked at the disc golf store, and I had recently become fanatically obsessed with disc golf, and so I was like one of those guys in there that wanted to like learn as much as possible from him. In fact, I remember like my first tournament ever was like 2014 Midwest Amateur Championships, and I was playing recreational, and I won my card. And I had just started disc golfing, and he was the guy giving out like the minis if you won your card. And I remember it was like we didn't know each other back then, but it said like 1 of 150 or whatever on the back. And I was like, I got number 1 out of 150, and he was like he was like, no, they all say that. I was like, oh man, this guy. Anyway, but. Yeah, fast forward a little bit, and we ended up becoming buddies, and like went disc golfed a few times, and then fortunately now to call him one of my best friends. But what I wanted to mention was that early in our relationship, discussing like our interests and whatever, like I was talking about art, and he was like, I'm not an artist. I can't do this stuff. Like I can't draw. I can't do anything. And I was like, well, that's just false. Like, you just don't try. And, anyway, everyone can make art. It's just depends on what you expect, and everyone can make art is the point. But I guess analogous to the evolution of his disc golf game and the course that he has designed and built, he has also become a legitimate, phenomenal artist, as exemplified by the display of really amazing stuff created out here. And for the record, this person that at one point told me was not an artist now has like 4 pieces of art on permanent display in my house. So he has evolved tremendously in the same way as the course and also your disc golf.
Designing the course in a way could be art.
Absolutely.
It's
For
like
sure is, yeah.
the way you're shaping holes and like thinking about how the disc is flying through and how you're challenging. How everybody experiences the course. I know that's something I think we talked about when we first chatted, is that you're like planning for the variety of each hole, so it's like even as you go from hole to hole, it's not the same hole 9 times and then 9 different holes. It's like there's a progression as you go through.
That's something I've kind of consciously tried to do, especially like from some good influences, is to think about the course as like a living sculpture. It's something where you design and build an 18-hole course, you have 18 holes and it's done, right? But it's not. That's the fun thing is you get to like, nature always is going to try to beat you in some ways. And so you can either
does it Foxtail almost every round.
you can either dominate it or you can try to work with it. And so that's the tact I've tried to take is the polishing is constant. Like that's part of when my friend Matt Jenkins comes out to weed eat, like we talk about this, like it's sort of like painting with a weed eater because you're slowly just scraping away little bits of things that would be annoying for a disc golfer or would be unfair or whatever, like within our within our paradigm of what a good disc golf hole is. You kind of scrape away at those bits and then you're left with something that approaches sculpture or feels like a living sculpture. And then a week later, grass has grown back, some of the woody stuff is coming back and you have to knock it back again and you just get to slowly interact and have this relationship with it. So that's something I've very consciously tried to do is think about what's going on out there cohesively. You don't want the same hole twice. You want everything to like leave you off balance a little bit. Talking about some of the power profiles, which by that I mean like how hard you have to throw a disc. Foxtail Farm is a very hard, decently long course. You're not throwing a driver on every hole. You get up into the woods, and then right now with our current layout, you on hole 9 you're throwing a controlled mid-range, maybe a fairway, maybe a putter. The next hole right now you're throwing a hard committed forehand. Then you're throwing a hard committed backhand. Then you're throwing a really touch putter mid-range. Then you're throwing another, like now a hard driver, and then you're throwing a soft putter. Like it's back and forth and it keeps you imbalanced. But I think that makes people have to sort of experience everything and like understand. You don't get into a rhythm where you gloss over what's going on in front of you. Each hole has to be experienced separately.
And that's how you demand the best level of disc golf. Like one of the things we talk about constantly out golfing there is about never repeating a tee shot. Like, so, I mean, as not a bomber myself, I'm incredibly bored by like disc golf courses put on ball golf courses. It's like, oh, cool, these young kids can throw it 700 feet. That's awesome. And that was a lot. Like Cooper used to be just mash destroyer, and that's how the course started. So I was even worse at it. But what we talk about now is like never, like if there was, when we test things, if it's like, well, you can theoretically throw the same shot as the last one, then like that hole's done. Like it's over. It has to be like, you're not going to be like, man, I'm really riding this stable forehand shot today. Like I can hit that 8 out of 10 holes in a row. It's like, you're like you said, throw like hyzer flip putter shot down a tunnel, and then like a hard forehand shot that has to finish super hard with a skip, and then a really tight backhand shot that's full power, and then like a touch one, and keeping that like lack of repetition makes you exhibit like all the different skill sets. I think
I have a very strong memory of playing Glass Blown Open. It was something like early 2010s. I don't remember exactly, but it was one of the earlier iterations of Country Club. And I was playing with Ben Wiggins out of Wichita, and I threw an enforcer on about 16 holes. The same exact shot on 16 holes. And halfway through the round, he commented, it's like, you could probably just have that disc. And like, something kind of clicked. Like, yeah, I'm playing decently because I'm throwing this same disc over and over and over again, but like, is that demanding? Yeah. Is that demanding a complete golfer? Or is that demanding like an interaction with the course? Or is that just, I'm going to throw the same thing that I know, that I trust? And there's a place for that. Like, I don't think that it's categorically wrong to have that a couple holes or something like that, or to have a disc that you trust. You don't know what you're going to do. If I don't know what I'm going to do, I throw my MD3, and it's going to be fine because I know it goes 300 feet, 350 feet straight. That's what it's going to do. So if I don't know what I'm going to do, I have a safety blanket. I have something I can lean on. But it may not be the preferred shot. That may be the thing where if you knew the course better, you knew you're playing well, you
just gave up the secret to the course, though.
Don't tell anybody you got to
throw it straight.
Don't tell anybody you got to throw a straight shot.
Yeah.
There's another part of the design thesis that was driven by, it's a old time disc golfer in Kansas City named Mark Martin. I played in Des Moines at Pickard Park way back. I was playing MA1 at the time, and there's a backup on this hole, and it's just like a dead straight. They play it as like a combo par 4 now. I don't remember what the hole numbers are, but a dead straight shot. And there's this backup on the hole, and we're waiting on it. And Mark Martin comes in and he says, "A man ought to be able to throw a disc straight." And he walked off. And that's like the design thesis of Foxtail Farm is you need to throw a straight shot, because throwing a straight shot's hard.
Yes.
But like throwing something that fades one direction or other, that's hard in ball sports, but in disc sports, that's easy. Mm-hmm. So like having a shot that you throw controlled that lands controlled and flat. Mm-hmm. That's part of the intentional. I think that shot's harder, and that's why we challenge it so much out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When Nate Sexton won USDGC, I can't remember his name. He was a lefty. I think his name was Drew, and he was like battling Nate Sexton in like the final round or so, or maybe it was the round before the finals. And I was there taking pictures and stuff like that. And I remember him being like, he's just throwing his Sexton Firebird 40 times. And I was like, is that true? And I went back and I like went through the coverage and I like counted, and I don't think it was quite 40, but it was a lot. Mm-hmm. He basically threw the Sexton Firebird forehand all over that course and walked away because he was able to do it super consistently. Yep. You can get it in a flow.
Yep.
And then it just kind of makes you think, like, hearing you talk, I'm like, there's probably a lot of courses that are sort of like, yeah, I can probably take a 9-speed, throw it backhand or forehand. A lot of the top players are like, well, I have my overstable 9-speed and I have my overstable 12-speed. I pretty much throw those the entire time, right? Yep. Either right or left. And
yeah, you default to the repeatable.
Yes.
And that's sort of something that happens on open courses, but that's why I think balance courses or woods courses are more fun and interesting, because Definitely. They can, you can't get spectators the same way you can at USDGC.
Definitely.
But if you can throw the repeatable shot, do it. Yep. But I think the goal of a course designer is sometimes to make you throw the unrepeatable shot.
Yes.
Challenge you to do something that is special. I've always kind of had a goal that like, I want you to go after your round, I want you to talk to your buddies about like, we got a birdie on that hole. Like whatever one it is, be like, oh, let me tell you about this shot real quick. I think that like builds the lore a little bit, builds the legend, and like makes it something that you want to try to do again. Because it's fun to try to execute hard things. Doing something that's easy like that, some people enjoy that. I've never liked easy things, partially because I'm bad at them. So maybe that's just my own biases there, but I think it's kind of fun when you look at something that's really like...
That's a conundrum. If it's easy and you're bad at it, it might be hard.
I think it's a focus thing.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we can. See, I think it's
offline.
I think it's a focus thing though. Like you either.
I agree.
Okay.
Like you can't focus. There's nothing demanding your attention, so you get lost in.
It's got to be entertaining to your brain.
There you go. Yeah, that's fair. It's got to be something that's like a worthwhile challenge that you want to embrace.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So, we've been talking about like how much you love this course, how much you've put into it, how many hours, like just it's this living sculpture. And I just can't help but feel like that's like the perfect segue into this land dispute and just kind of destruction that happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so just like walk us through kind of like what happened, like when you first found out, and then like kind of what went on from
what
there.
Happened, yeah. So every year, the second full weekend in October, we do the Foxtail Farm Championship. It takes a lot of effort. I try to put on a good event, something that people want to come back to, and it's a couple rounds, 2 rounds, one each day, but have like side games. We do food. We have beer sponsor BKS, best beer in Kansas City. We have a lot of things that we try to do as value adds to make it, because it's a single division with a bunch of cash added. It's hard to draw a lot of people to a single division when John Jones is going to win every year.
I was going to say, man, this is a tough sell.
Which you should play. But
play it.
So the week before this started, the Tuesday before this tournament started, I was at Tech Disc picking up some stuff that they were donating for the tournament, and I get a text from my neighbor saying, "Hey, can you give me a call? We've started on our fence project." That he'd told me a couple months before, "I'm going to replace that fence." Didn't say anything after that. He told me, the week of, and I'm like, "This week? You're going to do it like right now?" He's like, "Oh yeah, like we're starting today." And I was like, "I've got 50 golfers coming out. This is an out of bounds line. This is like, we can't have machinery up there. Like I'm 1,000 different directions trying to figure out what's going on." Meet up with him, chat about the project a little bit. A couple days go by. There's some back and forth. I was doing a flexor. I wanted to make sure there's no machines running up there for the flexor for the tournament weekend. And then he gives me a call and says, "Hey, I wanted to chat about some trees." And so me and Matt went up there, and we were out designing the pipe hand course at the time and testing the pipe hand course, which is a very important part of the
Which is
tournament.
why you should play the Foxtail Championship. Foxtail Championship is like if one man put on the GBO back when it was still fun. That's how I describe it.
Yeah. So anyway, we're out doing the pipe hand, getting that ready. It's basically a couple days before that is going to be played. So we have to like figure out exactly where stuff is, make sure that the pipe hands fly the right, that we have the right distances and everything.
And then we know which pipe hand's the best.
And the neighbor wants to talk about taking out some trees. We have a couple-minute conversation about everything from, we talk about hunting mushrooms, we talk about like all sorts of different random stuff, and he wants to take out some trees that are leaning over the property line. I basically tell him, don't take out big trees, just take out the limbs. If you can just take out the limbs, take out the limbs. And we kind of leave it at that. I'm thinking he's replacing a fence. And this is where like I always like being fully upfront about this. Like I bear responsibility for what happened because my action was impertinent in some ways. I wasn't doing watching and protecting the land that I needed, the way that I needed to. I was also pretty busy at the time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my project, and it was something that was dropped on me. So tournament happens. We kind of see them up there. They're doing stuff a little bit near, but like nothing too crazy. They're running brush cutters like right on the fence line. They're taking barbed wire out. I go up after the tournament. One of the things in that conversation about trees, we talked about craft beer, how we both like craft beer. So I had some leftover BKS from the tournament. I took them a couple beers and say, "Hey, thanks for kind of staying out of the way." At that point, I looked at it and I thought they'll have this fence up in a week. It'll be almost done. Like nothing seemed like it was a big deal at that point. I guess I should add in a little other flavor context. We're doing at this point we're doing an addition on our 1800s farmhouse, which was me and a friend of mine. So we were framing, hanging drywall. Like I took a couple weeks off for the tournament, and then right after the tournament, I was hanging drywall again. Jumped straight back into that, getting kids to school, putting dinner on the table, all that fun stuff. Traveled to Charlotte for a wedding for a couple days in this time span. Spent 2 months getting the course ready. I wasn't working on the course in this time. It was ready. It was done. I was working on the house, doing all that stuff. And then October 26th, a couple weeks after the tournament, I go up there. I get a notification that the second round coverage from Disc and Deals had just dropped, and I stopped at hole 9. I was kind of walking up the hill. I stopped at hole 9, and I sat down and I watched a couple holes up there. And then I realized that like it just seemed bright. It was just different. And so hole 9 is it finishes straight up a hill. When you're walking up a hill, especially across loose rocks, you look down. You make sure you're not stepping on snakes. You make sure that your footing's good. I didn't notice that there was a bunch of trees gone. And behind that basket now, there's just sun and openness and destruction. That hole is still playable, fortunately, because it is one of the best holes on the course. But I kind of just got like a sinking feeling, like something is different here. And so I walked further up towards hole 10, and I got to the tee pad and just looked down the fence line, and it looked like someone had cleared for power lines. Wow. The hole 10's design was very intentional. I mean, everything is very intentional, but it plays pretty close to where the property line was, and the tee pad angled away. You threw away from, not directly away, but angled away from the fence, and then it straightened up and paralleled along the fence the rest of the way. I had a group out to play that day before I'd gotten up to see everything, and I talked to them later. They were throwing hyzers down the opening. Like it just wasn't the same hole that you guys played that tournament. Like it wasn't. That hole was the second hardest hole both days of the tournament. You could dump hyzers on that thing and be there in a couple shots now. Like it wasn't the same at all. And so I basically texted him and told him we need to chat about this. Like he'd had a bunch of my walnut logs that he'd harvested off of my property that were beyond my fence line, which there's a property dispute, which I can get to in a second. But like, it's basically like, I need the logs back at least. That's more than what I thought you were going to cut. But at the very least, I'm going to need the property that you took from my land return, because we in the house edition we felled a couple smaller walnut trees to take them to a mill, and then we did flourishes in the house. We did finishing in the house with it. We built a built-in shelf in the office and some shelving in our master, and like some just cool stuff that has story and connection to place. And then we didn't hear from him for a day or two, and then there was a big confrontation where tempers flared, and I saw something that I'd spent 10 years working on and crafting and making a sculpture of, like we talked about earlier, just kind of like, just gone, couple weeks. I was busy for a couple weeks, and it feels like you blink and something that's a part of the cohesive whole is gone. It's my friend Kevin Simpson, who I've been friends with him since fourth grade. We debated together in high school. He's a very good attorney now, but like I was talking to him about it because I had a lot of consultation through this process with him, and just talking to him, and he said, I bet it feels like you probably lost a limb or something. And that is what it felt like. Like it's hard to explain that because it feels like hyperbolic. It feels like it can't be true, where like I'm talking, it's some trees on some land, right? When you've spent thousands of hours, like not just mastering or dominating something, but cooperating with it, it really feels like a part of you's missing. And I'm still broken up about it. Like it's still hard, even as much as I go up there and I still have to work up there and do things. The sinking feeling in my stomach driving up there is mostly gone now, but it still doesn't feel the same. The character is just, you were up there before and you were on this island. You were in this world that was separate, that was cultivated specifically for your disc golf experience and for you to literally stop and smell the flowers. Like that's the idea of most of Foxtail, is like slow down and experience what's around you. And then it's just so different now. It's really almost otherworldly. It's hard to explain how some place that you know so well can all of a sudden feel so different. Mm-hmm. So then,
which I'll jump in right here. Because
yeah.
when I came out just to see it, because you told people and stuff like that, and kind of essentially the same story, and I'm just like, okay, like you said, like it's just like, I don't know, like, you can't picture it, you can't feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like I came out Friday, we drove up there, we walked through hole 9, and you're like, this is where you can start seeing all the sunlight, which you couldn't see before. And I'm like, okay, but I can't see I don't know it as well as you do. And so then we walk up the hill or drive up the hill, and then it's just like, it was almost like Jurassic Park when she finally sees the dinosaur. She just like jumps out of the vehicle before it was even stopped. I felt like that was me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I just jumped out, turned the camera, and I just started walking towards the fence, and like you were talking, but I was just like, this is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy. The trees are down, silvery, brand new barbed wire fence, private property. Holy shit. And then we were there for like 20, 30 minutes, and you were telling me all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, like I get it now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Cooper texts. I get a lot of, I've been out for a handful of process moments, but I also get like a lot of live conversational process photos.
Matt is my internal dialogue sometimes.
That was like it's hard to describe how jarring what he sent me a photo that afternoon that he arrived there, and like I had just played I'd just been there. I'd just seen the guy who was about to murder his 10th hole, and he wasn't very cool. But it's such a staggering alteration to an environment that has become very familiar. So, like, for reference, I remember the first time that in disc golf capacity we made it to the top of that hill on the back nine, which is where like
Driving up in the
back.
Comanche?
Well, no, that was amazing. That was before, but I remember even more clearly the first time we played it, and it was like, I mean. Trees every few inches that he had maybe hacked down to like a 24-inch height, and he's like, this is gonna be awesome, and I'm like pulling off battalions of ticks and climbing through this and losing half my bag of frisbees. I'm like, man, so much fun to be friends. But
That's why you don't want to own your own disc
it
golf
was
course.
the adventure, and like it also like it evolved my barometer. It was hard, but also like I mean I'd been in this, and then so how I described this for the viewers at home that haven't been there yet, still go. Everything is amazing, but when I would explain what happened to people, I'd be like, imagine like wherever you work every day when you drive in, imagine like the building directly adjacent to yours is just completely removed the next day when you show up for work. And like that's the type of stark, like inexplicable alteration that was made to this hole. I mean, the hole essentially required like a series of 2 to 11 tunnel shots to be executed, depending on how far you made it. But I mean, it was like there was a minute ball was like leaning over you from the right edge of the tee pad, and then all of a sudden there's just a hyzer line, and you're like the fact that you were saying that group is throwing there was originally not any hyzer line unless it was like a gnarly hyzer flip thing.
Forehand. No, most people are thinking forehand off the tee. It's like a finesse forehand, but then you kind of go to a turnover backhand. Like no one's looking right.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah. Kind of going back to the, I guess the chronological, the temporal reality of everything is I talked to my neighbor about it, and I always try to see the best in people, and that's something I don't want to lose ever. But like I assumed that we had a giant misunderstanding about what permissions were given, and what I thought was going to happen is me saying, I'm pretty upset about this. I need my timber back. And he was going to say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I thought we were on the same page. Instead, he said, that wasn't our deal. You can pay half of my fence costs, and it was $10,000. So you can pay me $5,000 if you want your trees back. And at that point, that's when things got a little bit heated. And then eventually lawyers got involved, or a lawyer got involved. Because I DIY everything. I represented myself and my family's interest through this whole thing, which I have an incredible backstop. Like Jacob Berger, a local attorney, he's a civil litigator, had consultations with him, consultations with other local attorneys, and then my friend Kevin, he's a partner at a major firm, and I don't know how many hours we talked on the phone, but I certainly couldn't have afforded to pay him to do it because not at his billable. Like it's the reason part of the reason I did this is I avoid cost a lot. That's the reason the way the course feels is because I avoid cost a lot and because I do everything as much as I can by myself. And so it began this legal process where neighbor got a survey done, and turns out that fence that had been there for at least 70 years was off by 8 feet, and it was in his benefit. So we were losing about a quarter acre of ground. I wasn't able to keep frisbees on my property anymore. And then just kind of became something that we had to deal with through the courts. So I conservatively spent 200 hours winter through the spring, like losing sleep, waking up at 4 a.m. to read case law, to read statutes, to write filings, to do, like I basically became a lawyer for the last spring, and the course kind of took a back burner, but it was also, this is coursework, it's just coursework in front of a computer. So it's in some ways interesting. The intellectual curiosity part of me, the part of me that became a lawyer after college instead of whatever I'm doing now, like that part was intrigued, but also like, man, I'd rather sit on a mower. Yeah. It's so much nicer to deal with nature. And so we went through we went through a trial. We legitimately tried a case, me and my wife, in front of a Leavenworth County judge. At the end of it, he complimented us and told us that we did a really good job and better than a lot of attorneys he sees practice in front of him. And then a couple weeks later, we found out we lost basically everything.
Wow.
There's kind of one of the big sticking points was whether or not I visited the area within the 2 weeks that after the tournament until I discovered it on October 26th, which I was busy. You know, I got to get kids to school, put food on the table, went to Charlotte, working on a house that I'd taken 2 weeks off of our house project to work on the tournament, and just wasn't up there, but the judge just didn't trust me. So he basically called me a liar, and that's a fun thing.
Wow. A liar about what?
That
like
he didn't believe, he thought I was up there. So what he thought happened, this is the legal opinion, is that he thought what happened is that I observed it, but didn't know what to do. And because I didn't know what to do, it didn't become an issue until my wife saw it was a problem. And then she made it an issue. So there's a couple challenges with that. First of all, like, there are 2 women who testified in the trial, and both of their testimonies was discounted in some capacity. You're not calling a spade, but like sometimes there's smoke, there's fire. But also, this is the thing that I can't get over is the man saw me put on an immaculate 2-day trial that he complimented at the end for someone who doesn't practice law, and then thought that I didn't know what to do when I saw my neighbor cutting down too many trees. That just doesn't balance in everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the happy place I've come to to kind of put a bow on all of this, or put a ribbon on all of this, is that I think the protecting our property on that survey line, and I don't want to get too far into the law because I can get very distracted on this, but there's something called adverse possession, where if a line has been observed as a property line long enough, it basically is the line in the eyes of the law.
Yeah. Is that like 15 years?
15 years in Kansas. We've only been out there for 10 years, but you can tack on to your predecessor in title to the previous owner. So our predecessor in title had been out there at least since 1979. It's kind of complicated. He co-owned the property with his wife and then his father-in-law at some point. So they actually had ownership interest further back than that. But 1979 is a good easy date. Mm-hmm. Between him and us, we've been out there for 46 years. That fence has always been there and has always been the property line. Have it in writing from when we bought the place. There's a question on your mortgage paperwork, how are the boundaries marked? And he wrote fencing. Like, the guy believed it was the line, but he's passed on. So he can't directly testify. It becomes challenging at that point to prove a dead man's belief, which we did. I think we did a good enough job, but adverse possession is considered legally disfavored in that it's harder to prove. There's a more substantial burden of proof that you have to read. It's a substantial competent proof, which is an intermediate standard, but between clear and obvious and compelling, or whatever the lowest standard is.
Still a disc golf podcast.
I know. I won't go too far.
Oh, no. This is exactly why we're listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so like, we had a very tough burden to prove, and in my opinion, we proved it. But I'm obviously biased. I think what happened is that the easiest decision is the one that got written, and then the facts were backfilled. So the judge said that I was lying about not being up there, which I absolutely wasn't up there. I would have stopped it if I saw it. I mean, you're not going to spend like just that hole alone, just hole 10, minimum of 200 to 300 hours just on that hole. I'm not going to let somebody just wreck that because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I think what happened is he just wrote the easiest decision and then backfilled the facts and to make it make sense. What I wish had happened is that he'd have probably said what it should have been, is that I was impertinent. Like I have a responsibility, and like that I have a responsibility to take care of the land and to advocate for my interest and to observe the neighbor's work if I think that it's going to be something that messes with what I'm doing. I just had based on the conversations I'd had with the neighbor, I had no reason to expect that this was going to do anything to the property.
Did your neighbor give you a date of when construction, is it called construction, is going to happen?
He didn't tell me until the day it started. So he told me previously, he'd told me in August, I'm going to redo this fence. That was it.
Yeah.
I responded and said, that's cool. I don't have any need for that. I mean, this is paraphrasing a little bit, but like, I don't need to rebuild a fence. I don't need a fence there. I don't keep cattle. It was like, let me know if it's later in the fall, I'll help you. Like I will help build this fence. Cause that's sort of what's supposed to happen is that adjoining neighbors are responsible for partition fences.
Right.
He didn't let me know. He didn't say anything about it. And then the day it started, he said, hey, we're starting today. So it became this really rushed thing. And that really rushed thing coincided with the championship, coincided with the house project, coincided with travel I had planned. And like all these things where, I mean, me and Matt Jenkins Matt Jenkins started kind of weed eating and helping me in the spring, but like legitimately we'd spent months preparing for that tournament to try to get, I like to try to think we get an A-tier finish on a non-sanctioned tournament. You know, something that's like, this is as good as mostly me, and then like the help that Matt Jenkins can do out there. It's like, this is as good as what we can get out here. But we spent months preparing it in extra time around a two-story addition on an old farmhouse, like all of this different stuff going on. I wasn't in the mood to be up there running a weed eater or going to check, and I had no reason to think it was going to impact anything. And then come to find out, he'd cut trees 25 feet onto my property, that's the tree that was furthest on my property was really close to Nine's basket. So he cut a tree that's 25 feet. That's only 21 feet from that basket. He cut 2 trees down that were directly in front of hole 10's tee pad. He cut down a bunch that were beyond the fence line. And I guess just like what actually happened is they took the fence down, had no idea where it was, were cutting blind. And then at the end, when they got called out for cutting more than they should have, then they got lucky with a survey that showed in their favor. But this is sort of like this is a macro view of everything. But like, I know that land so well that after I discovered everything, I walked through there. There's no fence. There's no evidence of fence anymore. There's no T-post. There's no barbed wire. There's no anything. I walked through that area with spray paint and marked every fence that was on my property, and anything that was really close to the fence line, I put a question mark on it. Later, I went back up with a metal detector to figure out where the barbed wire was, because this is one of my favorite things I thought of while I was on a mower, but barbed wire is like glitter. You can't get rid of it. Like it sinks into the ground. Old fences, they lose bits of metal, especially from the removal, but just time. I found exactly where that old fence was. My spray paint marks were like 99% accurate, just from memory of where these trees were. But the difference is, this guy, he only uses land for cattle. He's been out there for 40 years, but he doesn't walk through the woods the way I do. He doesn't interact with the land the way I do. And he hired somebody to do the work for him. So he's hiring somebody who has no connection to land. He's just a mercenary at this point. And he comes in and then does all this work, but they took the fence down, didn't mark where it was. They got lost. I got mad, and then they got lucky. Like that's sort of what happened. As a result, like we have to replace hole 10 now. I mean, we have a pretty good hole. Showed it to you the other day. Like it's a cool par 3, but it's not the second hardest hole on the course. It's not the 1-2 punch of 9-10. Like you had to survive that section.
No, because like explain hole 10. Like if you were to play original OG hole 10, like what would be the shots in order to get a birdie?
So the shots, the way I played it is you could throw, I always tell people on that hole, you can throw 200 to 400 feet, but you need to be in the middle. So you need to throw a disc that you know will end in the middle. You have to beat a gap initially.
Yes.
And there's a subtle right to left slope on the fairway. So if you're throwing right hand, backhand, the disc wants to fade down the hill and get you into the rough. Favors a forehand because of that. And I'm not a strong forehand golfer, so I never did it. But I would throw either a pig, like one of my broken pigs that I can flip up and go straight, or an MD3 that I can just hammer straight, and then when it falls, it kind of falls flat.
Yeah.
Then the next shot, you would have several gaps that you could choose from. The left tighter gap could be more aggressive and you could get further up, or you could advance further up the right side, which is a wider gap, and get to the crest of the hill. You got to the crest of the hill, you had a small rock outcropping in your way, 200 feet to the basket, but kind of a plinko set of trees to where there wasn't a preferred gap through that section. There was more, it's sort of like a down under hole tacked on to a par 4 is kind of how I thought about it, to where you had to throw 2 great shots to get to a pretty decent spot, and then you're going to have to scramble to get to that pin. But you're 200 feet. You can scramble 200 feet. Like, you should be able to do it, and it's a fair ask. So that's the original. That was what we played.
Par 5?
Par 5.
Yeah, so
Par
that's
5.
how you get a birdie on the OG hole 10. Very difficult.
Yep.
Now, what's hole 10's
Right now
replacement?
Right now, it's a very long walk from hole 9 that you throw a very particular forehand 300 feet through a tunnel. Very hard, tough hole to scramble from if you're not in position. It's not the hole 10 was the second hardest hole on the course, and hole 9 being the hardest hole on the course generally. Those two back to back were like, this is where if you got a good round going, you're scared to come to these holes. Yeah. If you have a bad round going, you're terrified of these holes because your round's going to get rough. And then now you survive 9, you'll get past 10. You'll be fine enough.
The point of the questions is like, you just, again, we're trying to build this perspective of like what was truly lost. We lost a par 5.
Yeah, and
amazing technical par 5 to when we were there looking at it, and I kind of turn around and look at the tee pad now. I'm like, I think I would throw like the Vessel, like a 4-speed overstable disc forehand to try to get to this basket in one shot.
Yep.
Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And back-to-back par 5s, it's not a common design element. Some courses do it. Tampere, one of the best courses to watch. I love watching Tampere. They've got back-to-back par 5s. The idea was, I lifted it from John Houck at Harmony Bends. He opens 1 and 18. He opens and closes on par 5s, and then 9 and 10 are also par 5s. So like it's sort of the punch and counter punch theory of design, where like you want to keep people imbalanced in some ways, but also like this is the haymaker section. This is the one where you've kind of played the easier section getting up to here, and if you can get through here and you've got a good round going, then you might have something special. And then now it's just like it's half as challenging or half as risky to get through.
We called it Amen Quarter.
Yeah.
Not corner,
Quarter.
which is an Augusta National reference from ball golf. But
Well, yeah.
whatever. I don't know. One of us has a ball golf tattoo, so we'll talk.
My brother's big on golf, and he's just like, it's not ball golf.
No, it is. It just
You have disc golf. We have golf.
Yeah, I used to say the same thing. Now I'm a disc golfer. We name it Amen Quarter.
Yeah, 8,
Quarter.
9, and 10.
8, 9, and 10. So hole 8, which is a super friendly, like 6,000 foot par. No, it's a par 4 that is one of the most demanding full distance tee shots originally designed. You throw across and out of bounds, or like tall grass area past an old fence, into a large open field, which then funnels down into what you would expect from a traditional fairway, and then continues to funnel while going like 30 degrees uphill to the basket, and super challenging. And then 9 is the first par 5, previously followed by 10. But it was called Amen Quarter because not only is it a burly 4-5-5 stretch, but it is, I drew all of the course tee signs, the maps for Foxtail multiple times now.
and he's gonna have to He's gonna have to do it again.
Thanks a lot. But it was 8, 9, and 10 prior to this calamity constituted 25% of the distance of the course, which
Yeah.
is a crazy thing to think about. But it really represents like how exceptionally tough that stretch of golf is.
Yeah, it was because Amen Corner at Augusta National is the section you need to survive, the section you pray to survive, and that was kind of the idea here. Is like eight's the softball at that point. Like it's a hard hole, and that's the easiest out of them.
really
So
is, yeah.
so good luck.
Yeah.
You know, you got to survive this coming up, and like you're going a ways. You're dealing with a lot that can really change your fortune in the round. Yeah, and so it's just like it's really just changed kind of the cohesiveness of everything. It feels disjointed. Like it doesn't feel every hole plays off of every other hole. You know, what comes before impacts what comes after, and then like I still feel lost a little bit. Like I'm trying to some of like the redesign stuff that we're doing, we're trying to like turn the screws on a couple holes and like add a quarter stroke here, add a tenth of a stroke here, and like increase the difficulty and replace that a little bit, but it's still like I thought about trying to replace all of hole 10 in one fell swoop, and it's just like I feel lost right now because I don't know. There's no way to keep this on the property anymore. We clearly can't risk throwing over there. Like it's not even a question at this point. Like it's litigious. It's not. We have to play so far away from there, and then add on to this that previous owner had given a section of land north of our house to his son. That's the skinniest portion of our property. Like our property is generally about 12 or 1,300 feet wide. At that section, part of what you play through, and most disc golfers don't even realize this, hole 10 and 12 is only about 220 feet wide because he gave 10 acres to his kid right there. And so we've got a little sliver up north of that yet, but like it's really challenging to fit a couple disc golf holes, especially if you're trying to fit those big woods holes in there. They have to be a certain width for them to be fair,
Right.
and they have to be a certain width. You know, now they have to be even wider because there's no buffer there. You could we could put Mandos up all day. We could play the hole as is with Mandos, and there's still a bunch of discs going over there because they're grip locks. They're going to hit trees. Some people just throw bad shots.
Also,
Like,
I think that really, bears witness to how incredibly or how densely wooded the portion he cut out is. Because it wasn't like you could still squeak one over there. Like, this is a tunnel hole where it was almost hard to throw it out of bounds, which would have been over his
it was
fence.
nearly impossible.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, I don't even think I ever thought about it.
No, nobody ever.
Even though
you
it
didn't worry
was a
about it
mere
at all.
40 feet maybe to your right, and you're trying to, it still was very hard because of the sheer number of trees on the right side to even deflect into his property.
And those were left there intentionally. Like keeping neighbors happy with me is part of the goal. Like you can't do what I'm trying to do and then like make the neighbors angry.
No.
So and it's also just like a respect thing. Like I don't want to.
And you just did it like a month ago.
But yeah, like so that's part of like the intentional design. And now the trees that I've taken out, if he'd moved this fence line, he claimed he'd always known it was wrong in the wrong spot and whatever. But if he'd moved this 30 years ago, 40 years ago when he moved out there or whatever, I would have designed it different.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, I spent 10 years trying to figure out how do you fit this puzzle together?
Right.
How do you figure out where everything goes? Like when I was working at the shop where I met Matt at DDKC, which is Nexus now, I would take a piece of paper, I'd do that cutout, take that cutout out. I would from memory hand draw the design. And then like figure out like I could fit this here, and I use a different color pen and be like, well, I could do it this way and I could do it this way, and like figure out like just from memory, here's how everything like fits in this puzzle.
Yeah, you're not looking at like satellite imagery or anything.
Well,
You're just,
I did look at I've internalized that. That's what I'm saying. Like
That's how he could draw.
That's what I'm saying.
satellite
You're pulling out a piece of
imagery,
paper and just being like, okay, like how could I? It's blank.
Yeah.
It's so embedded though. I spent so much time there.
This is a real aside, but I think it's a funny story, so I want to tell it. There was a real fun moment at the trial where I was on the stand for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
My wife was doing my direct examination. And so like Emily was up there doing my direct. I was up there for 3.5 hours because I'm the primary witness. I'm the lead attorney. Like I'm wearing all the hats. I'm doing everything.
Which hat were you wearing?
At that point, I had to. You're not allowed to wear a hat in a courtroom. But so you have to do everything. I'm up there for 3.5 hours or whatever, and then the neighbor's attorney gets up there, and he starts asking me questions, and like I can't really figure out where he's going. Like he doesn't have any interaction with disc golf. He doesn't know what's going on. I think he maybe just learned about what was happening a couple days before. They get an idea. They're like, "Oh yeah, we had this meeting where he was going to like have him get up there. We're going to show him this map. Draw on this map where hole 10's tee pad is." And he's like, "Okay, here's this map. Where's hole 10's tee pad?" And I'm just like, "You want me to from memory put, because I've done this before." Mm-hmm. Like this is like, it was the dumbest question I think I could imagine.
That used to be your hobby.
Well,
I know.
I mean, if you asked the guy to like draw where the fence line was, just like from a picture, would he be able to accurately do it? Because he doesn't spend time up there. His cattle does.
Yeah, earlier Peter Burris
If his
testified.
cattle even go up there.
Yeah, Peter Burris testified, and he asked Peter. He said, "Well, about how far was hole 10's basket from that fence line?" And Peter's like, "I don't know, like 80 feet maybe." And then he's like, "Would you be surprised to learn it was 130 feet?" It's like Peter says, I'm a terrible judge of distances. I don't know. He gets up and asks me, "It was about 80 feet. Like it was 80 feet or so from that fence line." And it's just that they have this like, they have what's going on, and this is where he gets really in the weeds on it. But it's like they have this idea, and they haven't really interacted with it. But like, not only have I lived the property, like I lived this case for, I slept poorly for months. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody.
Yeah.
Was there any point, like, I guess I don't know how it goes to trial. Like I was reading that a majority of these types of cases settle before they go to court because they're so expensive.
Yep.
And like, if you hadn't represented yourself, it's like these cases can cost up to 80 grand just, in fees. So did settling, like, was that ever an option? Like why, like walk us through a little bit of like your kind of wrestling with like, do you go all in to trial? Like, is it worth it? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
I would have loved to have settled. It wasn't an option. I made a number of offers for settlement very early on. My best offer, when I was just thinking, let's just put this to bed, was that they should just put the fence back where it had been for at least 70 years, and that the neighbor could return whatever trees he thought were fair. They didn't accept that offer. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of just kept going from there. I took a meeting with a local attorney to kind of understand the process, to peel the curtain back a little bit. Most jurisdictions have what are called local rules. So within each district court, there's a number of norms that they follow. Leavenworth County, District 1 in Kansas, is one of five jurisdictions that don't have local rules, which means that you just don't, it's kind of up to every judge how they manage everything. So I took a paid consult with a local attorney in Leavenworth and then told him who my neighbor's attorney was. And his immediate reaction was, "Okay, you're going to trial." Okay. He doesn't settle. So that kind of, the writing was on the wall. And I still made multiple offers at different points. I told him very early on that we could try to make this right and come to a neighborly agreement and be, somewhat displeased with each other, but like come to an agreement on it, or I'd pursue damages. And then they sued us for quiet title, which is basically trying to move the line through the legal system. So at that point, because I was preparing my own lawsuit at that point because it was clear that we weren't getting anywhere. So they sued me first for quiet title, and then when you respond to that, you have to include all of your counterclaims. So I had to include all of the damages, and then include all of the negligence, trespass claims, like all of that kind of stuff. Timeline on that, generally you have 28 days to respond, but you can get an automatic 14-day clerk extension. So I took every bit of time I had on that because it takes a long time to put out a good product and to do it right. The same way I've treated the disc golf course. I wasn't in a hurry to get it wrong. I didn't want to just slapdash something down there. Whereas the neighbor's attorney's filings were rife with typos, mixed font usage, just things that were just egregious and grating in a lot of ways. Parsing emails from the guy. I would send him an email about something, and then he would respond to that email in a different thread. So like from another set of emails that I'd sent him, so he'd respond in that. So then I'd have to know that he was responding to that email. It just became really challenging to try to figure out exactly what was going on. But from very early on, basically my wife Emily and I talked about it, and she knows how hard I've worked on everything and left it up to me about whether or not I wanted to pursue what was going on. We weren't in a position that we were going to hire an attorney for it. It's not reasonable. For one thing, I'm relatively cheap or DIY. Like if I can do it, I'm going to do it. That's why I built the house edition with my friends. That's why I built the course the way I did. That's why I've muddled through being a bad mechanic. Like there's a lot of that personality that gets built into it. I felt like I was capable of doing it because I did debate and forensics in high school. Like I'm decently well-spoken and can handle myself, I think. And then I had just a magnificent backstop in my friend Kevin, who's, I've been friends with him such a long time. And like, I told him multiple times through this too, like, no matter the result, it's just been a blessing to have to like, it's like we were back in high school again. Like it was kind of fun. It was like, we're back in the debate round. We're back, like we're going against the other team and like, we're trying to figure out like, what are we going to do here? And like, it's not his area of practice at all, but like he was able to like kind of help me get through the like, I don't know what the next pro forma thing I need to do is. Like, what's the name of the filing that I'm putting in? What is the, how do you put one foot in front of another? I've read the law. I understand the case law, but like, I don't know how, like, what's the right format that this needs to be in? Like all of those type of things. He's just magnificently helpful in and like very giving of all of his time with everything. So I guess you also kind of asked about like timeline stuff. So
like you like responded to this thing, and then at some point a trial date was set.
Yeah. So they filed suit in early December, and then we got to trial in late May. So that's very fast. That's actually like breakneck speed. It could have gone longer. Initially, I wanted a jury trial because when I was talking to friends or neighbors, I'd kind of explain the situation to them, and they'd be like, they kind of understood it from my perspective. We eventually opted for just a bench trial, just with the judge, because adverse possession is a little tricky. Like it's just kind of like one of those higher law theory type of things that you don't necessarily want to have to explain to 12, average people who don't interact with the law on any daily basis. A jury trial, we would still be waiting. We wouldn't have had the trial yet. It probably wouldn't have been scheduled until October, November, December, something like that. And there's just a lot of like moving pieces. I still want to do the tournament. I still have to like keep the course up. I want to know where the line is eventually. So we ended up deciding to go the bench trial route, and we were able to get to a trial in late May because of that. And then we got our decision in late June, something like that.
Okay. And like, what was the status of the fence at that like point? Because you're like because it had been put up, right? In what was the new fence in the spot of the survey line, or was it?
They hadn't put the new fence up yet.
Okay.
They just finished the new fence within the last couple weeks. They had an electric fence up there, just a single strand of electric fence up there to keep the cattle in. But basically, that was sort of a no man's land, or it was the kind of thing where I would tell the neighbor's attorney, I'm going into this land to like measure where the trees are and figure out how far away from the line they were. And then he told me, you've been told you're not allowed on the neighbor's property. And then I would have to respond in an email and say, actually, it's my property. And I believe it's my property, and I'm going to continue to act like it's my property. And so there was just no line between us for 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And then after we got the judgment, then they went ahead and then started moving forward with their fence. And then we were considering the other options, but ultimately decided that it's better just to they put their fence in, and we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
The thing I remember posting about this, but like we'll be fine. We'll be better because we're not gonna let it be worse. We will have, and I say this with absolute certainty, hole 10 was one of the best holes on the disc golf course. We will have a better hole than what was there before. And the way I know that's true is because if we put something in and it's not better, then we'll fix it until it's better. Because that's the same way the disc golf course got built, which Matt can tell you about. Like we played so many bad holes before we played good holes that that's the way it's going to be. Is we are going to it'll be meaner. It'll probably be the hardest hole on the course. I mean, Ledgestone just happened, and they were talking about hole 12, and I started thinking, we could maybe try something like I know they're probably not that wide exactly, but we can get in that 5.5, 5.7 range. We can put something that like you prayed it 9 is your warm up at that point. Instead of being the hardest hole on the course, you're gonna get walloped after that.
I think two things I'd like to add is like, first of all, every single person is gonna pay for what this guy did. That there's nothing I need to make more clear than that in all of this process.
Can I interject and not? I don't want to derail you, but our friend Peter has said to me, he's like, I'm upset about the neighbor too because he just pissed you off.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that's exactly it.
Do we have a nickname for said neighbor? Because I feel like we're no longer going to be referring to as hole 10. It's going to have a name.
I don't know what it'll be yet. It'll be something. Early on, the name Perfidy cracked into my brain, which I should have looked up before I dropped it right now, but it fits the description pretty good. Malevolence, something to that effect, but it'll be something. We have respite right afterwards. We have to cut across that fairway now. Like respite's probably done as a hole. But we'll have respite 2 or new respite, and then we'll have whatever comes before that.
For anyone who hasn't played this course yet, respite was a joke. After Amen Quarter, which was par 4 uphill, and then 2 consecutive par 5s that were not terribly friendly. Respite is and 360 foot uphill through a legitimate hallway that you would walk through type of tee shot
with the nastiest rough on the course.
Every time we walk up to you, somebody on the card is like, this is just dumb, or real angry about it, and then Cooper proceeds to absolutely gut it every time. I mean, every time he hits this, it's 3 feet wide. And
it's wider than 3 feet.
It's
at least 5 or 6.
Sure, at the end of the tee box, it's 6 feet wide and then funnels to 3. But yeah, I just really enjoy him, regardless of what. Somebody's always upset about the idea that hole exists, and then Cooper does it exceptionally, which is kind of the vibe of the course. Every hole is something that someone will walk up to and be really disappointed that it exists. And the second,
not disappointed, anxious.
Before I lose this, because I will.
Yeah.
The second part of what I was mentioning earlier is that in dealing with the emotional distress that this felling of trees on a large scale caused, the most comforting fact I can think of is that there's no one I have more faith in to respond to this situation better than Cooper. Because everyone that comes to play this course is like, well, he's clearly done it 18 times. And the reality of it is he's done it 120 times. And some of them were bad. But he's made so many amazing golf holes that aren't even currently played.
Right.
And there's so many iterations, and even just we go out there in our board and we're like, what if we did a course that was kind of this themed, and then we make up a new thing, throws from weird places. It's a living entity, and so while we all want to preserve all of our physical assets, I'm confident that Foxtail Farm will prevail through all of these challenges, and really it has presented new opportunities for him to punish his friends. And but it will be beyond just a punitive golf hole or series of golf holes. This will just be a small step in the progression of what I consider like the ever evolving state of Foxtail Farm.
The tales of Foxtail Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
for sure, it's going to keep going. And like, I don't really see this course ever just sort of being like, and that's the course. Enjoy. This has been fun. Like, I just mow it every time now, and like, that's it. It's that's the beauty of this whole thing. Is like, I think every time you kind of come out, especially like me, like I don't get out enough, but I feel like come out once a year and it's going to be, oh yeah, this is different. You've changed the spider hole or whatever, and like, there's an aspect that's cool. It's not moving the baskets to a different location. It's like, no, like the hole's been redesigned.
Yeah,
and. People get hired as a course designer. They come in, they scope the land, they design a course, they hire a huge crew to come in and like make the fairways and do the thing. And then like, cool, enjoy. This is the course for its eternity.
Yeah.
Because there's no major like tour tournament being played on it. So why would we ever change it? Mm-hmm. That's not going to be Foxtail.
No, it's not going to be comfortable. There's a quote by Woody Guthrie that I think, describes the ethos, or it might just be me, I'm not sure, but it's he wrote down, I'm a changer, a constant changer, because whatever stops changing is dead and I am alive. And that's the way I think about the course. Like, it's not a dead design. Like, it's going to continue to something.
Yeah.
Like, there'll always be changes. There's more drastic changes right now than I would prefer to do all at once. But there's always going to be something. There's going to be tweaks here and there, new holes. Like, there's going to be a brand new layout that's completely different than anything you've ever expected. You have to do that, because otherwise it's stale and boring and the same. You can go play those courses. We have those, and there's a place for those. Like that type of comfort, that type of like familiarity is that's necessary.
Yeah,
it's not,
humans love repetitive comfort.
But it's not. It just doesn't need to be everything. It's the same thing. Like, you can go play busy courses. You can go play Rosedale, and there's somebody behind you and somebody in front of you, and you're in a hurry. When you come out to Foxtail, like, we're not that busy. Like, that's by design. I've had days where too many people have tried to get reservations, and I've told them no, because I don't want you to be hurried. If you're out there, the course is yours. You're out there to spend your time. If you want to play another round, play another round. If you want to throw a bunch of shots,
all the time. I'm just laughing. I think about the people
That was
come,
amazing. Let's do it again.
that show up to play. I mean, I'm with you, but like, more people quit early than play another.
you would be. So we played League on Saturday. This is fresh in my mind. We played League on Saturday.
Jose playing.
No. We played, and so hot right now. Like 105 degree heat index. Like, we played at 10, and it was hot by the end of the day. We're waiting for the other card to come in, and once they're in, we do payout and everything. Kevin Babbitt says, I'm going to go play hole 1 through 5, and like 3 or 4 more people join him, and they go out and play more golf. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm going to go have food because I haven't eaten yet today, so have fun. But people do it. Like, it's something where Kevin Babbitt, like, he's MP 55 world champion, comes out and like long course, but he can beat anybody out there. And he said the reason he wanted to get through hole 5 is he's like, it's a very particular flip up straight shot. And if you can't throw that shot out here, you're not going to do well. And so he said, I'm going to play through to that hole, and I'm going to get that hole right, because you have to.
That's one of my favorite tee shots, is hole 5. Yeah. That is like my shot.
Yep.
Is the little flip up and just continue to ride, but subtly moving left.
Yep.
It's one of my most favorite shots, so I do love that shot.
That's Peter Burris found that tee pad. Mm-hmm. I knew where I wanted the green. I couldn't figure out how to get there And we had come up from 4, and I was like, I want to go here, but I don't know how to get there. And Peter said, why don't you just walk that way? And I was like, well, I hadn't thought about that. Right. Like, because you're walking backwards, basically. You're walking up the fairway sort of to get to that tee, and then you have to throw back at it. That's like you put yourself in this box and you can't think out of it, and that's why you have people come out, because they don't think in the same boxes that you do.
They haven't thought your thoughts.
Yeah, so you have like all of these different like frameworks that you're working on, and then you put it, you collect those. Like I designed the course. I don't really think about myself as a designer though. Like in some ways, yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's more of like I try to amalgamate the ideas of everyone that comes out. Some of those ideas aren't worth doing. Some are great though. Like, and you try to just like remember the good ones, so that at some point you hear enough of that, you start doing it. You hear enough like, this isn't working, then you start tweaking things, or like, well, she did it this way, and you're like, I didn't think we could do that. I didn't consider that before. And so then you start thinking through it and you figure it out.
And if you go, that's too hard, I promise you that's a permanent setting. That is how that works too.
Yeah.
We've all learned that lesson. Peter and I, for sure. We're like, that's dumb. That's too hard. He'll be like, oh, perfect. Yeah. That's great.
That we do have a running joke with Matt Jenkins and me, because he comes out and weed eat, and he's really good friends with Peter Burris too. And we talk about like, if Peter Burris, I've never said it right.
Me either.
If Peter hates it, it's probably a good idea. So like, it's one of those things, you just want to slightly agitate him. You don't want to be like, you just want to like poke him a little bit. And it's like, if he's just like miffed at you for it, then it's like, this is good. This is we're on the right track. If
I can use feedback however you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. But I think it's super
But it
valuable.
should be used.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's super valuable. If I can go back, like you're asking about the idea of the name on hole 10. This is something that happened in the trial, and I kind of want to get to mention it. They one of the trees that they cut down that we talked about earlier, the Osage orange tree. There was a really big one on the northeast corner of our property that we called the listening tree. It had this giant burl on the side that looked like an earlobe, or looked like an ear basically. It's super cool. But they cut that tree down, and it was way onto my property, and it's a huge tree. Osage orange just doesn't fall over. So that became a particular legal contention. But in some ways, I think it is sort of fitting and sort of poetic that so we still have the stump of that tree, and at some point when I can get enough big machinery up there, I want to move it, set it up and polish it, kind of like some of the art that we have on other parts of the course, and make it like the landing zone. Because what happened here is that we weren't listening to each other, me and my neighbor. We were talking to each other, but we weren't saying the same thing. Did you guys, this is a really strange aside, but did you grow up watching Star Trek The Next Generation at all? No. Okay.
Still no.
Voyager.
But we
Still no.
talk about this a lot.
This is like a seminal. I grew up. I attribute a lot of who I am to that show. There's an episode called Darmok where the crew encounters the alien species, and they can't understand them. They have this universal translator that can pick up anything, but they can't understand them. This alien species only speaks in metaphor, essentially. They talk about stories. They say Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, or Shaka when the walls fell. And like that means something, that's like Shaka when the walls fell is when like a great, something bad happens. Or Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra is when two people came together and overcame adversity, like fighting a monster. Okay. So like it's these things, but like they can't understand each other. And the whole episode is about trying to understand each other. At the end of the day, what I know happened, what I believe happened, is that two people were speaking to each other and not saying the same thing, and we certainly weren't listening to each other. And that has legal consequences, that has real consequences as far as time and labor, that has all of that sort of stuff. But like at the end of the day, I've always maintain a great hope in what people can do and our capacity as humans. And I don't want to let one bad experience taint that. So like, maybe it's perfidy. Maybe it is the challenging, the more negative connotations, but maybe it's the listening tree. Maybe it's a monument to understanding each other, to accurate communication, to really listening to what somebody else is saying when they're saying it, instead of just trying to think of the next thing that you're going to say. As I'm explaining a metaphor from the early 90s to people who've never seen it.
I love that.
Yeah.
The listening tree, if that's a thing, that would be a great name.
Yeah, if I can get big machinery, like I want it, like polish it up like old Dan's stuff up there.
Man.
It's a beautiful burl, like it's cool looking, and it's the kind of thing you can put a plaque next to, or you can put something next to, and like it'll mean that bit more. We have these number of sentimental trees across the property, that being one of them. Hole 12's got the bone tree next to it. We've got the tree of death on hole 1 and the tree of life near where old 8's tee pad used to be. Mother walnuts near hole 17. But we have all these special places for our family to go around and like just experience what's around and slow down. And like that's kind of the hope of Foxtail too, is like to invite the broader community into these spaces. And like we won't necessarily like put a sign next to everything, but you'll look at the bone tree next to hole 12 and be like, why is there vertebrae and jawbones hanging off of this? And it's just like the bones that I've found in the woods and collected, and that's the place that they're gonna go.
Yeah.
And it's like finding ways to like connect people to nature is kind of part of the idea.
Man.
Yeah, that's good. It makes me like to like more positives out of this. Like, what can we take away? And I think that's like a great perspective. And like I wanted to take it to kind of the broader disc golf, because we've seen, like Matt, you were talking about, we lost Swope, the original Swope Park course. Stafford Woods had a scare where they were going to be closed down because like some state stuff. And I think it's just like there's a risk, like whether you're on public land or private land, there's always this risk of like, are you doing everything legally right? Like, so I don't know, like, do you have any takeaways or like what we should be doing as a broader sense in disc golf to like kind of protect these courses?
It's interesting thinking about it, like, because from a public park perspective, it's challenging. Like there's a lot where municipalities are involved and clubs are involved, and like it gets challenging. From a private course owner, I wish I'd done a survey when we bought the property, because I'd had better ideas of what the constraints were when I designed it. Like when we bought our property, is the first house we ever bought, and we were cash strapped. We weren't paying for a survey to figure out where the lines were at that point in time. But if I'd known that fence was off, I wouldn't have designed hole 10 the way I did. And so, maybe that's part of it, is just knowing what your actual constraints are. And then I think probably just better advocacy for like what you need and what might hurt you, and I think it's okay to be kind of vulnerable with people and say like, I'm worried that this might be a challenge, or this might break something I'm doing, or like more openness. When you get more heads, more communities involved, it gets challenging that way. But especially in private course ownership, it'd be one of those things where I started putting the course in, like, I'm just not a super outgoing person. I don't go to meet all the neighbors, and my goal was just keep the course away from them and it won't bother them. But if I could go back and do it again, I would know where the boundaries were, and I'd probably have just gone around to everybody and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm happy I'd like to work with you on everything and like make sure this isn't a problem. But just kind of being more open, more willing to say like, this, I'm worried about this, or I mean, it's probably just listening to people too, like understanding like what somebody's saying may not be the same thing. Just because we just say the same words doesn't mean they have the same definition. So really clarification, and knowing if you're working on a boundary line, you should make sure you know where the boundary line is first.
Yeah. Which, are you replacing the fence, or are you moving it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And see, that became a big like point of contention, because the plan wasn't to move it. That's what they claimed afterward, but the plan wasn't to move it. It was just a convenient thing that happened after the fact.
Right.
And it was only because what could have happened, what probably should have happened. And this is, I always try to like keep personal responsibility. Like the thing, I want to own up to the mistakes that I made on things. What should have happened if I hadn't overreacted and become emotional was I should have probably gone to him and said, this really hurts me. This broke something that I spent a long time doing. How can we make this work? Like a lot of these trees came from, like I could have done something in probably a nicer tone, in a more using that language of like, this hurts me personally. How can we work together as neighbors? And I didn't start yelling and screaming. Like that's not who I am, but the like, you can pay me $5,000 to get your property back became something that like, that starts getting into you and like starts like really annoying and something that sent me over the edge a little bit. And then there was a discussion at one point when it was a little bit heated, but we weren't all the way there yet. And I said, I told you I could help you with this. Like, why didn't you just like reach out and we could work on this together? I'm good at clearing land now. Like I'm really good at clearing land now. I don't do it the way you do it. I do it a lot cheaper, but it's more hand tools and personal, but I'm happy to devote my labor to this. And he told me like, I thought you were only offering your labor, not money essentially, which I wasn't going to pay for the fence, but the most valuable thing I can offer you is my time. And that kind of sent me over a little bit because I shouted back at that point, like building a fence is labor. Just because it's somebody you paid for to do it doesn't mean it's not labor, but like labor has value. And so there's just a lot of things, like a lot of dominoes that kind of fell and like escalated the situation. If I could go back in time and relive all of this, I would have tried to relax a little bit more. I would have hopefully not addressed it when I wasn't sleeping well, because this is like, all of this is, it sticks in your craw. It's gone a couple days. Like I'm texting him, like no responses. I'm walking up there, like looking like, I'm trying to avoid talking to him in person because I'm livid, just losing my mind. And then, sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. And that's just a recipe to get angry. So if I could go back, I would have slowed down quite a bit more and tried to treat it differently personally. I have a lot of responsibility. Neighbor has a lot of responsibility. But it's one of those things where like, we'll be better for it. I think most people are good. Most people are going to treat you right. And just because I had one bad interaction doesn't mean it's not going to be that most people won't treat you right. That's been mostly I have a lot of people ask when they come out, like, have you ever had to like kick people off the course or like ban people, or like, I really don't have that experience. I've had to boot a couple people who think they can just avoid greens fees and come out and play on their own, which joke's on them. I don't charge greens fees anyway. People can just chip in whatever they feel like. So avoiding greens fees is a funny way to just show up and, get yourself booted. But like, I really haven't hardly had to do that at all. Most people treat places with respect, treat people with respect. There's a few bad eggs out there, but for the most part, like starting from an accepting or trusting place, that's been kind of my goal through this whole thing, is like, it's damaging emotionally or psychically or like whatever you want to call it. Ever since we decided we weren't going to pursue, like we could have appealed or we could have done other legal stuff. But my wife has noted that it's better for my emotional health since we decided that we weren't doing any more on this, just to let it be and move forward. And, that we're doing what, we're allowing the things that I've learned over the last 10 years to, I guess, lead it now, or to take over now. Like, nature is going to consume us all. I'm planting flowers. I'm planting trees. We'll get back there. You won't be able to see the fence here in a couple years. It's just going to take a little time, but nature will defeat us all. So maybe that's optimistic or pessimistic. I don't know, but it's
realistic.
It's well said either way.
Yeah.
Also, for anyone that is thinking about trying to save the non-existent greens fees by driving out into a rural area and trespassing, I just don't do that. That's insane. What even if there were greens fees, just pay them.
Yeah.
You don't want to drive out and park on somebody's farm and walk around. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
If I can, I'll look directly at the camera.
Yeah, I don't know which one to look at. Don't do
I think
that.
it's this one right here. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're playing a private course, there's a lot of work that's gone into it. Pay your fees.
Yeah.
Like
But also, you could just straight up get shuffed. I
Well,
wouldn't go on.
I know.
I mean, I wouldn't drive an hour outside of the city and just walk onto somebody's land and start throwing frisbees.
Yeah.
Just don't do that. But also, pay this man because he is working hard.
But also, like, just know, even if you have a really, like, a cool course, like, it tries to do it, like, when people come out, they ask how much they owe me or what greens fees are. When I started playing disc golf, I played because it was affordable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have played private courses because I was a poor college kid. I couldn't have done that. I was, I would occasionally buy a Frisbee here and there, and I would just go play because it was cheap. I don't want to take that from anybody. So, if you play at courses like that, still understand there's real cost. It's not just gas. It's not just machines. It's also machine repair. It's gas. It's gas. It's time. There's a lot that goes into everything. So, like, the private courses give you something that you can't get at a public course. They're almost two, like, entirely different animals.
Yeah.
The type of freedom you get at a private course is, I think, something that should be enjoyed and celebrated. And if you want it to continue, it has to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. Sustainable is a lot of different things.
Yeah.
My goal has always been to be sustainable ecologically. There's also a lot about sustainable financially. There's a lot about sustainable by energy. The things that I could do 10 years ago when I started this, it takes me several more days to recover now that I'm 10 years older. So some of it is just understanding that, like, there's a lot that goes into things. And so if you like a place, support it. If it's a public course, go to work days, join your club. There's all sorts of different things that you can do to support the places that you like. But if you're a disc golfer and you want to keep playing on those, you can't just play them. You have to do something else. And maybe it's maintenance, maybe it's creative outputs. Like, one thing that I like doing is supporting creatives who come out. Like, we filmed a music video for the Yaz at our place. And it's like, I got a call from one of Matt's friends who's a killer videographer out in LA, said, "Hey, I got this producer. She's looking for a rural property to shoot a music video. Are you interested?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." I have no idea anything what's going on. And then I get a call from this girl, Megan. She's like, "Yeah, we're shooting a video for the Yeahs." And I'm like, yeah. Let's do that. Like, what do I have to do to, like, make this happen? I will bend over backwards to make this happen because that's cool. And that's, like, part of the story. They're, like, finding ways to contribute that are playing, but maybe it's finances, maybe it's maintenance, maybe it's creative. Like, everybody has a talent. The motto I try to follow is from each to each. Like, everybody has something they can give, and everybody needs something. So, like, if we all kind of share what we have in abundance and give to the people who need what we have in abundance, then, like, the world gets better.
Yeah.
And disc golf's a microcosm. So we do it here, do it everywhere.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, yeah, hole 10, OG, rest in peace, but we're moving on. It became something that was uncontrollable, and we have to know that from, like, a stoic standpoint, that there's very limited things that we actually have control of in life. Mm-hmm. But Foxtail Farm Championship is still happening this year, right?
Yes.
2025?
Yep. It's October 11th and 12th this year. Basically, it's just the second full weekend in October every single year. It makes it easier for me to plan because the maintenance is easier that time of year. I can get to a spot and stuff stops growing. It's also that weekend because that way people can plan around it. That if you've got something, big life event and you're like, I really want to make that tournament, but and this life event can move a weekend here or there, like, that way when we're going to be. But yeah, we're at least $2,500 cash added, single division, kind of a big party for disc golf. it's kind of like what disc golf tournaments used to be before they were all tee times, before they were all, everybody shows up, you play, you leave, and you don't see people who are playing in your same division. We do a shotgun start the first day. You hang it after the round. We have pie pan frisbee. Lee Killian from Fresh Leaks is out there slinging excellent food. BKS sponsors for beer. Nexus is in as the title sponsor for the tournament.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the Friends of Foxtail, which are basically a bunch of friends who believe in this project and chip in some money to make the purse cool. So yeah, we're doing that. It's registrations on Disc Golf Scene. Hoping to keep building that. The first year we did it, we were 30-something golfers. The next year we were 52, 53, something like that, and really hoping to hit that number, move up a little bit, and just keep this to be the kind of thing where you want to play, great. You don't want to play, like there's a spectator sign up on there. All I want to know is that you're coming. You can chip in for the course if you want to, but like it's really just I want to know who's there so I know how many bathrooms to rent and what kind of food we need to have and that kind of stuff. But there's some really cool shots to watch out there. So I think even if you're not like going to win the tournament like John Jones is, I'm going to get him this year, but but you know, like even if you're not like in contention to win it, like it's something that I want people to want to play, to be a part of. Second day we do tee time, so that way everybody can watch the leaders come in. We do CTPs or long drives on every single hole. And even though we lost hole 10, we have a great course. Yeah. We have the replacement stopgap hole 10 is an excellent hole that would be a standout on any course, I think. And then we've got another stopgap hole on 16 right now where we got some kind of weird stuff where I'm doing crossing fairways through there right now. And that's kind of a rule that I'm breaking intentionally because this is something I learned from Matt, but like the view is better. It's a cooler hole. We could have put a hole over, further over in the flat, and you could add a 330-foot hyzer that was out of everybody's way and something you've seen on every course you've ever played. And instead, we're just going to cross 17's fairway, and you get this majestic view of the valley through Tonganoxie, and you get to throw a fun 450-foot downhill shot to a raised basket. And like, it probably isn't a long-term hole. It's going to be cool this year.
Yeah.
So we've got a really cool course for this year. And that's something we're going to kind of do every year. Is every year we're gearing up for the championship. We're going to have the championship course. That's going to be kind of the course that you play for the next year and get used to. And like, that's what this is the tent pole that props up the entire project. This is the thing that we're always building towards is this tournament. And then, come play and practice outside of that. We're doing leagues and stuff, weekends when I can host them. But we got coverage from Disc and Deals this year again, and just kind of building this thing into something fun and interesting and some people want to come out to.
It's definitely fun. It's definitely interesting. Pie pan's super fun. Everyone it's crazy how many people love that. You play it multiple times, and most people do. Yeah. But you talk. It's a very difficult course, and like whether you're am or pro or whatever, just come play because it's not about winning. It's not about being at the top. It's just about being part of it. And I think being part of it was really fun. We played last year, and it was just really fun.
I just want to add to that, I've played in every championship, and I wouldn't say I necessarily came out thinking I was going to win. But Foxtail Farm is one of those special courses you play, and you have the opportunity to throw shots where on any given hole, any given shot you throw will be one you'll remember for the rest of your life. It asks a lot of you, but it gives a lot of opportunities. And it also has it's a special place. And also you can throw 100-year-old pie pans against Jake Hebenheimer. I did that for several hours. It was fantastic. You can't do that at an A tier. So come play the Foxtail Farm Championship because this is where myself and other professionals really show their skill.
Well, there's cash in pie pan too. Yeah. So my friend Steph Castor, she makes pies. She's an excellent baker. Top 3 players in Pie Pan get one of her custom pies. So that's a reward.
You should have said there's pie in Pie Pan, not cash. Who cares about the money? You get pies.
Oh, I think Nick Pascuzzi won like $150 last year playing Pie Pan.
And pies.
And pies. Pies and it. Yeah, it's
You get it all.
yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I got CTP and I got a Foxtail custom dyed destroyer. I'm like, I throw that. It's in my bag right now. I'm like, it's an amazing destroyer. Like,
Awesome.
this wooden piece right here, Scott won.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an old Dan original.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's lots to win. There's lots of, you're going to have a great fucking time.
That's the hope.
100%.
So just sign up. Doesn't matter how well you are, how good you are. Just sign up.
Yeah, come have some fun. Enjoy some camaraderie and
Sure.
Yeah. Before you bounce, can I give you some gifts?
only if I get to give you some too.
Okay. All right. We'll go first. All right.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
You garlic too.
Thank you to Grip Equipment for hooking these guys up. Grip is the absolute best. Carry a grip. But we got some nice hats. We gave this to you, I think, on episode 1. Mm-hmm. You worked the shit out of that hat.
I sanded drywall, which is a bad idea in a hat that you want to keep.
Yeah, I recently saw him and I was like, dude, he wears that hat. Yeah. So we got you a freshie.
Oh, thank you.
Matt, you're not left out.
Ooh,
Come
awesome.
on, join the club.
Beauty. Thank you.
Also, you got to have a rain fly for your bag. Okay, a lot of people don't have them. They come in clutch. Like all of a sudden you're playing a tournament and you're playing around or whatever, and all of a sudden it rains and you're kind of like, well, shit. Like everything's gonna get wet. Not anymore. Not for you. So,
Yeah, thank you.
rain fly on your bag.
Grip. That'll be perfect.
Yes.
And I remembered that you give stuff out, so I wanted to bring some.
Hold on. I'm not
there's
done.
no
I'm not done. I'm not done.
It's not done.
BKS.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's the best beer in Kansas City. So stop by. Make sure you say hi to Alex Moss, head brewer there. He is the man. He also plays disc golf. He was on one of our episodes.
Tell him to get a haircut.
No, definitely not. Go see his band Dented Zeus. They're playing live like all around town now. I don't know when they play, but go see his band. He's the drummer. He's awesome. Nice. Brett Main also works there now. He was on the podcast. But BKS, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Supporting the podcast with giving us some delicious beers. And then, hey, here's some more grip stuff.
All right.
Thank you.
Beauty. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Fumble.
And then
But, yes, thanks, guys.
you guys get to fight over
Thanks
a
for having
polecat
us.
or a Sonic, and then you each get some garlic. That's one of the things I like growing out there. And you get patches too.
Garlic.
Yeah,
What do you want, a polecat or you want a Sonic?
I got those specifically. Well, that one's for Peter. Well, I ordered Sonics for Peter, and then I ordered.
I won't do a polecat because I'm a
You're a
birdie.
birdie, guys.
I'm a birdie guy.
Polecat.
You got to have the thumb track.
Yeah.
Yes, I gotta have the thumb track. So
Polecat's too beef. Gotta go birdie.
I love a birdie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having us.
Yeah.
It was a
Thank you.
blast.
It's been great.
Cool. Thank you again. Peace. See you guys. Cheers.